they were just like, yeah, can we read it? And she said, no dice.
Now, that's how America rolls now. Just like Patriot Act, you couldn't read it. Now, 30 minutes before they're about to pass it, Bonner finally gets the 300 pages. And you've got that clip. We haven't played that yet. You played the other one where he read through some of it, and it was just carbon tax over your home, your house, your car, home inspections. Folks, I keep telling you, they've already done it in Australia and Europe. We knew what was in it. And he sat there, and this is the first time he got it, the minority leader. He gets it and is reading it on the floor, and they bitch at him and call it a filibuster. And he just says, okay, so he could have kept filibustering. And I tell you, that's why everybody's saying Bonner's a champion. He could have filibustered for 2-3 days. That's what they used to do in the old days to beat tyranny. I would filibuster for a week to beat bondage on my children. I would. You just got to keep talking. It makes me want to run for Congress, but because, in the House, anybody can filibuster.
And that's what was sickening, because it was the right, sitting there clapping when he would make a valid point and the left booing, and it, again, enforces that false left-right paradigm. This isn't a right or left issue, Alex.
Exactly, and I'm not trying to attack Bonner, but the point is he could have kept doing it.
Yeah.
And so he got it 30 minutes before the vote. He filibustered, they called it, for an hour. It wasn't a filibuster. He just used the filibuster rule to start it. He just kind of flipped through it and went, oh, my God. Oh, my God. I mean, imagine no one's seen this. It's worse than anything I even imagined. That's the thing about, they said they're setting up a Bank of the World. Congress would waive its authority to it for taxes globally, for setting the rates, for the rates of currency values and interest rates. But then they're just skipping that whole step and just saying total financial dictatorship. That bill's racing through. They've openly passed executive orders for forced inoculations. They're getting the population ready for that. They've introduced hate crimes and cyberbullying stuff where if you say you hurt someone's feelings, federal felony, no judge, no jury, you just go to federal prison. I mean, they're building a giant NSA snooping hub in San Antonio in the news, admitting it's to wage war on alternative media and saying they're spying without warrants. And the local news went down and tried to take a photo, and the feds came out and grabbed them and took their stuff away on city property. The feds off their jurisdiction. It's just the country is a third world cesspit. The government is rogue and criminal, and I want everybody to understand something. When you watch the Democrats, it's all this is the future. We're going forward. Jobs, jobs. They go jobs, 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 jobs. It was just like they were talking to 3-year-olds.
That's what it felt like.
Like you've been bad baby. And the Republicans were actually telling the truth, but see, they're out of power now. They can play that part. And I'm not saying they're all actually evil, but the point is it's okay to tell the truth now because they're not in power. So Bush put in the police state grid in the name of fighting al-Qaeda. Conservatives went along with it. Liberals got mad. Now Obama keeps the police state going, but does this. And they keep saying America must lead the way. Yes, for population control. They brag on NPR. They brag on television. They brag everywhere. This is about lowering our standard of living, making us not be as wasteful, teaching us not to live as well, and taxing people in a 20% tax rate at 65 and people at a 40% tax rate at 85%. This is official. And it's going to shut down everything but select industries. When Bonner was reading through the bill, the thing I had a week ago said this, but this was even worse. It kept saying federal boards, federal groups will decide. They will write per case guidelines for your factory, your business. It's over, folks. China, India, Mexico, no carbon cuts. And there's a weird thing if they'll sign on, it's admitted they don't even have to follow it, but then they're going to pay the most of the money back in carbon credits to the IMF, World Bank. And each one of these top globalists, Soros, Gore, others, they all get their private car companies and private carbon companies that then the money's given to. I mean, this is crime so transparent. And watching Pelosi and the other slimes, I mean, they are such clear bank robbing con artists. And it's such a joke. So all this brainwashing when I was in public school about the earth, now it's dying, we got to do something to greenhouse gases, and scaring us when I remember on the overhead projectors when I was a kid, and all the TV shows and the movies. It's all leading towards this system where governments worldwide decide everything, and it's all selective. And you better watch the Obama deception. Hand that to me, Jason. Because in this film, we break down the carbon taxes and go through it from their own words. And already California is getting rid of the tax credit for having kids. The feds are saying it. Australia is already saying a carbon tax on kids. And our news is now saying they want a tax on kids. Because it doesn't matter. Having kids, everything they do is going to be a carbon tax. And that's why they're saying everything. I mean, folks, it's everything. This is federal regulation of anything and everything. Everything is carbon-based. This paper is. My shirt is. When I exhale 2.5 pounds of carbon dioxide a day, it's what plants breathe. It's the life cycle. This is the ultimate joke. I always heard the joke 15 years ago, 20 years ago of, it was even in Spaceballs where they're taxing breathing. And, the president's popping the can and, smelling the good air. And now they're not calling it global warming or even climate change. Now it's our deteriorating atmosphere. And that came out a few months ago. That's the new talking point put out by the White House. And suddenly it's all over TV, all over radio. But when you really read their textbooks, they're laughing. This is how they're going to micromanage your life. This is going to control you. And for those that didn't believe me about all this, Bonner read the subsections where it says they're going to have youth brigades. I mean, they've already got them in shirts saying climate police, environmental police. This is already, folks, this is really happening. And people kept telling me the last few months as I warned them about this, they said, it'll never pass. It'll never pass. Folks, this is the time for everything to pass. Total bans of whatever guns the Attorney General chooses, giving him dictatorial power, giving the federal government dictatorial power and these hundreds of agencies, and over 30 major agencies and hundreds of sub-agencies and directorates are openly going to have the power over all activity, and it's on a case-by-case. They decide. Just like they admit in Congress, and we played the clips here, that if you're a Democrat, and that's because they're in power now, and you got a $15 million 90-year-old dealership in Minnesota, in one case was in the news, you make contributions to the Democrats in real time, they will let your dealership stay open. This is the seizure of the economy, kind of in a corporate strip mining, cutting corporations up, companies selling them out. I mean, it's so staggering, I can't even respond. So it's taking the free market economy, feeding it into these select coffers and select groups, and also financing worldwide huge cash payoffs to third world countries to go along with it and not industrialize there to keep their populations from developing. And the State Department memorandums, the Royal Commission on Population all say this is a tool to suppress and dominate third world populations so they never threaten the elites. And it's meant to be done here. This is an economic straitjacket that is happening. Here's one. Obama backs plan volunteers Americans to pay global taxes. Obama-backed plan volunteers Americans to pay global taxes, World Tribune. I mean, these are the type of reporters. Calderon wants money. They all want it. Jason is going to come back and talk about all this with you guys tonight. And understand that they're going to go ahead and bring this in and only phase it in here and there. And everybody will kind of say, like with the Federal Reserve, oh, yeah, it's kind of a new tax, but whatever. It's innovation. It's clean energy. It has nothing to do with any of that. This is all about vertical integration of the economy and selective enforcement. And then in closing, the most important point to all of this is even if you're for climate cops and selective enforcement and taxes on everything, and even if you believe the ballyhoo, the horse pucky, that this is going to help your jobs, this is a wet blanket on an already fading economy. Look at how this was passed, just like the Patriot Act. You know, I was against the Patriot Act because no one was allowed to read it, and because it was tyrannical and anti-constitutional and anti-freedom and draconian and used in non-terror-related cases. It was written for that, Section 802. This is something even worse. I mean, no one was allowed to read it until 30 minutes before the vote. They bring a copy out, and Bonner has to filibuster just to read it himself. He goes, I'm getting this for the first time. I'm going to read it now. And they start going, no, motion. And then Waxman bitches at him after an hour, because knowing the public watching thinks it's like kindergarten, and he's tattling. He goes, to the speaker, literally. Waxman goes, how long was he allowed to speak? And the speaker checks with the rules and goes, well, was his discretion. And Waxman goes, You know, he wanted to act like Bonner broke some rule, knowing dumbass America was watching. And I'm sorry, folks. Let's all admit we're stupid, we're dumb, we're ill-informed. It's not funny being conned. The way this procedure, the way this was done, the way no one could read it, 30 minutes before the vote, he has to filibuster to read it live on air. Anytime they rush something through where nobody can read it, it's criminal. For people in both parties, for liberals, conservatives, all of it, you're part of a controlled paradigm. It's about feudalism, neo-serfdom, eugenics. It's not about left and right and all this phony template and false paradigm you're following. And I'm going to go ahead and leave and go work on the book and work on the film tonight. We have to work around the clock right now to get this book and film out. And Murmis also is going to be making some changes soon. He made the decision, and I'm backing him fully on it. I'll tell you about it at the very end of the show tonight so you can focus on the film he's making that is really impressive, I have to tell you.